Welcome to Business Line's State of the Economy podcast, where you'll find insight, analysis, and the story behind the numbers.
Hi, listeners. Welcome to Business Line's State of the Economy podcast. This week, a committee headed by former Union Agriculture Secretary Mr. Siraj Hussain came up with a host of recommendations to promote warehouse-based sales of agriculture produce. The focus is on e-Negotiable warehouse receipts, or NWRs, trading through electronic National Agriculture Market, or Enam, and other registered e-trading platforms. One of the key recommendations has been to declare warehouses as deemed mandis if they comply with the state APMC's laws. The objective of the committee has been to help farmers get better returns. The committee has also suggested that the Agriculture Ministry form a steering committee with major states for smooth and faster implementation of its recommendations. To tell us more about the panel, key recommendations, and other related issues, we have with us Mr. Siraj Hussain, who will explain us the features of the report. Welcome to Business Line's State of the Economy podcast, sir. So this week, an expert committee headed by you on promotion of warehouse-based sale with focus on e-N-W-Rs, that is e-Negotiable warehouse receipt, trading through Enam and other registered platforms submitted its report. Sir, we would first like to know what was the objective of having this committee headed by you.
So thank you for inviting me for this discussion. Actually, in the Ministry of Agriculture, it seems that the issue of getting better prices for the farmers and stable prices for the consumers has been under discussion. And in one of the meetings, as I understand, it was decided to set up an expert committee to give to government its recommendations about how to make the warehouse-based sale more mainstream. So I think that was the idea with which this committee was set up, and I was appointed the chair of this committee.
Fine, sir. Sir, you had been with the Ministry of Agriculture earlier, and then you have been also part of the Food Corporation. How much did these experience, matter while heading this committee?
No, actually, the government sets up expert committees from time to time to get the suggestions from experts about various issues confronting the agriculture sector. So this particular issue relating to agriculture marketing has been inviting attention of the government for several years. And if you would recall, the government had issued 3 ordinances during the lockdown, and later on the government converted those ordinances into acts passed by Parliament. So agriculture marketing has been a subject of interest and concern for the government of India and also some state governments. So it is only logical that they would like to get opinions of various stakeholders as to how to make the warehouse-based sale and purchase of agriculture commodities more mainstream.
How did you go about preparing this? What were all considered for preparing this?
You see, the committee had experts from various areas, including WDRA, some state governments, a small farmers agribusiness consortium, a former chairman of WDRA, Mr. B.V. Patnaik, and representatives from NCDX, and also a company which is into financialization basis. There was a CEO represented on the committee. And we also had the state government of Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. And the Department of Food and Public Distribution was also represented on the committee. So it was quite representative in that sense. We held several meetings with various stakeholders, and then only we have come up with these recommendations.
Sir, and the report has come in a matter of 4 months. How do you see that? I mean, there was all around cooperation, or what really went into this? Real quick jobs.
No, the committee was set up last year. The report has not come a day too soon. In fact, consultations were held with various stakeholders in Delhi, and we also had a meeting in Mumbai. The state governments were consulted. WDRA was consulted. So a couple of meetings were held. So it is not that we could finalize the report in 4 months. In fact, the committee was set up in April 2023.
The declaring warehouses as deemed market yard, that recommendation is something that is really seen as a remarkable one. So can you explain a little more?
So what has been happening is that the warehouses which have been used by the farmers and the traders for storing their agricultural produce can easily be declared as sub-market yards, so that the produce stored there can be sold without any technical difficulty. That is what this committee has recommended. Even though it is not a new recommendation, this has been going on for several years, in fact, several decades, if I may say so. And some state governments like UP, etc., have declared cold storages, for example, in UP as sub-market yards, and the trading of potato takes place directly from the cold storages to private trade in other states. So what we have now recommended is that all these state governments should be persuaded to declare the warehouses where agricultural commodities are stored as sub-market yards, so that the trading in agricultural commodities is facilitated.
And you have recommended registration of warehouses with the warehouse development regulatory. Some comments on that?
You see, the government of India enacted this act in 2007. Then it took the government 3 years to set up the authority by nominating various persons to the Warehousing Development and Regulatory Authority. So what we are saying is that since 2010, just about 4,500 odd warehouses have been registered, and even out of these warehouses, not all of them are technically live at any given point of time. Many warehouses do not fulfill all the requirements of WDRA, so some of them are inoperational at a given point of time. What we are saying is that if this ecosystem has to expand, then the number of registered warehouses has to increase substantially. In fact, we have been talking to the government of Tamil Nadu, and in a very good development, the warehouses operated by primary agriculture cooperative societies have been registered with WDRA, which is a very good development. And we hope that very soon they will start issuing electronic negotiable warehouse receipts, so the farmers can store their produce in these cooperative warehouses and they can sell it seamlessly.
The other important recommendation is the trade acceptable grade standard. Now, when Enam was started, grading was featured as one of the key features of the Enam, but still there are problems with grading, and you're not getting the right person. What can be the way forward for this?
You see, grading is a big issue because when the farmers bring their produce to the market, many a times it does not even meet the fair average quality standards. So obviously, a WDRA registered warehouse cannot issue an electronic negotiable warehouse receipt if the norms set up by the government under AgMark, etc., are not met. So what we are saying is that norms of FAQ, which are presently prescribed by the government, should be made applicable for electronic negotiable warehouse receipts also if the storage period is short. Similarly, we want the AgMark certification also to be more accommodative of the actual quality of agricultural produce which is taking place in the markets, so that there is no significant difference between the quality which is acceptable for issue of receipt and the quality which is actually being traded. It is a very big issue, and I hope that the Ministry of Agriculture, which administers AgMark, will be able to find a solution to this long-standing problem.
And there is a mention of pledge financing against e-NWR. As the committee looked into making things easy, because that is one of the issues that is really farmers are complaining.
Actually, that is also a very important issue. The first thing your listeners should know is that the amount of pledge loans given by the banks for agricultural produce is not known. It is not published by the Reserve Bank of India. It is not collated by NABARD. So we do not know what is the total quantum of pledge loans given by the banks for agricultural produce. There are various estimates ranging from 35,000 crores to 45,000 crores. Unfortunately, only a very, very small part of this, just about 1,000 crores or so, is being extended. Loans are being extended against electronic negotiable warehouse receipts. So what has been happening is that the banks have been issuing pledge loans against the physical receipts issued by the warehouses. What we are saying is that we should move quickly in the direction of digitization, for which the government has been making very sincere efforts for several years, starting with demonetization. And therefore, the government and the Reserve Bank of India should come out with policies which will facilitate pledge loans against the electronic negotiable warehouse receipts which in a seamless manner. That is what we have recommended, and on that we have made several recommendations.
So any other point that you want to highlight besides?
One important point is that it is only the first point of sale by the farmers in APMCs which is recorded, for which any data is generated in the country through AgMarkNet portal. After that, what happens to the agricultural produce is not known. And as your listeners may know, agriculture is basically a state subject, but interstate trading is within the domain of the union government also. And therefore, what we want is that for interstate trade, the central government should enact a law governing various facets of interstate trade, so that if there is any dispute between a buyer and a seller who are sitting in different states, there should be a mechanism to solve that dispute. There should be a mechanism for quality, etc. You see, when we had come up with the idea of Enam in 2015, basically this was the idea, that trading across different centers, geographical centers located in various states would be seamless by the use of Enam. It has not really progressed satisfactorily in that direction so far, and therefore I think there is a very significant need to come up with a law, with a central law to govern interstate trading in agricultural commodities. Also, it is important to know, since many of these commodities are classified as essential commodities, it may be useful for the government to know how this trading is taking place across the states, where the quantity is being stored, and whether any hoarding is going on. There are several other facets also which need to be known to the government.
Fine, sir. Thank you very much for your enlightened views. I hope our listeners also will be benefited from these. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Subramani. Thanks.